Howdy, y'all. It's Wayne from Dallas, Texas, and I react to all things UK. Got a video here for you today about an area I always want to react to, Suffolk. This video is called the Top 10 Prettiest Towns in Suffolk, and it is by a channel called Alex in Great Britain I have reacted to before. I do enjoy his channel. And yeah, I'm just interested to find out what the prettiest towns there are. There's a few I've heard of, a few I'm interested in, and I thought this video might give me some direction, so I'm excited. Let's get it started. See what the top 10 prettiest towns there are.
In the heart of the east of England is the county of Suffolk. This is a county widely credited for its idyllic rural aesthetic, often with an air of longing in the eyes of Londoners already dreaming of a quieter life. Is its reputation on the looks front deserved? Well, in a word, absolutely. But what are its prettiest towns? To establish this, I visited them all personally, and my conclusions are presented to you in this top 10 list. As per the rules of this series, villages are not included for consideration, as there are just too many of them. And yes, that does mean that Lavenham will not feature, perhaps to the disappointment of the Harry Potter fans out there. Cities are included though, but as far as Suffolk's concerned, that's a redundant statement. So let's get straight to it. Number 10. Getting us started in style is the nearest town to one of the most important archaeological discoveries of all time.
That's gorgeous.
Woodbridge.
Woodbridge.
Situated opposite the site of the Sutton Hoo ship burial, separated by the River Deben, is a town more than worthy of consideration in its own right. A town oozing with historic buildings such as St Mary's Church from the 15th century, the distinctive Elizabethan-era Shire Hall, and a slew of other pre-Georgian era buildings on Market Hill, all making for the perfect backdrop to the area in which Basil Brown single-handedly disproved the myth of the Anglo-Saxon quote-unquote Dark Ages. Number 9. Now to the first of a few entries from some of the famed wall towns of Suffolk, the town of Hadleigh. Suffolk's association with the wool trade is key to this entire list, as will become apparent. Easy access to both the river and to, well, sheep were two prerequisites for a wool town to thrive in the medieval era. In Hadleigh's case, the river in question is the River Brett. Suffolk's dominance in the wool trade hit its zenith around the 15th century, but its later decline left its architecture seemingly preserved in a somewhat pre-industrial revolution state. As a case in point, you have only to look at Hadleigh's quartet of Grade 1 listed buildings, namely St Mary's Church, the Deanery just opposite from the 15th century, the Guildhall just behind it, also from the 15th century, and this 17th century building on the High Street, now home to a cafe, a stationery shop and an estate agent. Number 8. Next is the town bearing the name of the last king of East Anglia in its suffix, Bury St Edmunds. So in the 9th century, after King Edmund defied the Viking invaders, known as the Great Heathen Army, they tied him to a tree and executed him with arrows. His body was later taken to Bedrixworth, which duly became Bury St Edmunds, and a place of pilgrimage at that. The town of today still comprises of a grid street layout courtesy of the monks of the Abbey of St Edmund, who designed it thus about 900 years ago, and while to this day Suffolk has no cities, it does have a cathedral, St Edmundsbury Cathedral, and believe it or not, this was a mere parish church up until 1914. Oh, and since 2017, the flag of Suffolk has depicted an Anglo-Saxon crown with two arrows crossing through it, as a nod to St Edmund the Martyr. Number 7. Here's one for the Ed Sheeran fans, a town that's been put on the map somewhat thanks to a certain castle on the hill, Framlingham. This is a town very much off the beaten track, as your public transport options here consist of about half a dozen daily buses from
I
Ipswich,
like the looks
and
of
a
it.
local minivan service. Some of the visual treats awaiting you on arrival are the Market Hill, with a fine blend of Tudor and Georgian architecture housing some independent shops, the Church of St Michael in all its perpendicular Gothic glory, and of course the Surton Castle. This dates from the 12th century, and it was from here, behind the castle walls in 1553, that Mary Tudor learned that she was to be crowned Queen of England. But a much more contemporary claim to fame is, of course, Ed Sheeran's 2017 song Castle on the Hill, or Castle on the Hill as the case may be, as an homage to Framlingham, the town in which he grew up. Number 6.
Okay, cool.
And now for a trip to
Number
the
6.
seaside, with the first of two coastal towns to make this list, Aldeburgh. Here's a seaside town
Aldeburgh.
that, in many respects, breaks the mould.
Ooh.
For one thing, there's no pier.
Oh.
Secondly, if you're looking for amusement arcades to keep the children entertained, you may struggle here. But this list is all about visuals, and Aldeburgh
Okay.
certainly delivers on that front. The long and wide high street has a vast array of characterful buildings,
Oh.
of which barely any two are alike, whilst the seafront is a veritable pastel-coloured feast for the eyes.
Ooh.
For the architecture enthusiasts, there's
That's
even the
nice.
Grade 1 listed Moot Hall from
Okay.
circa 1520, harking back to a time when Aldeburgh was a busy port before the river silted up. All in all, there's much to like about the town that Benjamin Britten once called
Oh.
home. Number 5,
Number 5.
and we remain on the North Sea coastline for our very next entry, Southwold.
Southwold.
Whilst it's only fine margins that separate these two seaside towns as far as this list goes, there are a few key visual differences. For instance, Southwold has a pier, a sandy beach as opposed to shingly, and many colourful beach huts
Those are
on a
nice.
level similar to
Beach
Walton on the
huts.
Naze down in Essex.
Mm-hmm.
Of architectural
Oh.
note is the 15th century church dedicated to none other than St Edmund the Martyr,
Okay.
although Southwold's most
Oh, a
distinctive building
lighthouse?
is arguably this late 19th century lighthouse, which is largely synonymous with the town itself. And whilst many seaside towns tend to feature an abundance of Victorian colonnades coinciding with the railway era, the architecture of Southwold's town centre could be described as defiantly Georgian. Number
Number
4.
4.
Returning back inland, our next entry is a town with surely the greatest name in the county, the town of Eye.
I.
So the East Angles, who settled here, named it after an Old English word for island, as it was likely
Mm.
once enclosed by water and marshland from the nearby
Mm.
rivers.
Okay.
As to what makes it a seaside beater on the visual front, well, I'm actually going to shut up for a moment and let this clip do the talking.
Okay. Oh, yes.
So
That
the
is
14th
nice.
century church of St Peter and St Paul, along with its 15th century tower, was once described by architectural historian Nicholas Pevsner as one of the wonders of Suffolk. And if that wasn't enough, just over the road is the ruin of Eye Castle. From here, you can certainly keep an eye on things with panoramic views of all the eye-catching sights in a town with more to it than meets the... Okay, Number 3.
Puns.
And so now to the
Number
southern end of the
3.
county for another one of the great medieval wall towns of Suffolk, Clare. So the
Clare.
Suffolk-Essex border is defined in large part by the River Stour. In addition to providing a natural boundary, this river also powered the fulling mills of Clare, leading it to levels of prosperity that account for many of its historic buildings. Of particular note is the Church of St Peter and St Paul, a classic
St.
example of a
Peter's.
grand church built with funds straight from the wool trade, and a perfect vantage point in which to view the church, and indeed much of
So
the
pretty.
town, is from the mound of Clare Castle. Directly below the castle is an abandoned railway station. whose grassy tracks are symbolic of the damage the beaching cuts of the 1960s inflicted upon Britain's smaller towns and villages. Case in point, only 3 out of the 10 towns featured on this list have a functioning railway station of their own today. I've tracked myself here. Suffice it to say, though, that if you're looking for an unspoilt gem of a town, Clare does not disappoint.
Okay. Gorgeous.
Number 2.
Very nice. Number 2.
We now switch from the Suffolk-Essex border to the Suffolk-Norfolk border, as our runner-up spot goes to Bungay. Here's a town so rich in architectural treasures, it's hard to know where to begin. The town centre alone is home to multiple churches, 2 of which have the maximum Grade 1 listed status, those being the Church of St Mary, with a 15th century tower, and the Church of Holy Trinity, with a rare round tower reputed to be Anglo-Saxon in origin.
Very nice.
And just like several of the previous entries, Bungay has a castle ruin of its own.
Of course.
One of its most distinctive landmarks comes from an unlikely source. After a great fire broke out here in 1688, this buttercross was built the following year, a buttercross being a centuries-old dome covering to keep dairy products sheltered from the rain at market.
Oh.
As for the town as a whole, it is honestly one of only a handful in the country where not a single building looks out of place. If Bungay were in any other county, chances are it would have claimed the top spot by a clear margin. But hey, this is Suffolk after all.
I mean, it looks nice. What's number 1?
Finally, for our top spot,
here
we return to the River Stour for a town so pretty it inspired a Royal Academy founding artist, the town of Sudbury. So just downstream from Clare on the River Stour is where you'll find Sudbury, and just like Clare, Sudbury was a medieval wall town with all the architectural traits you'd come to expect in such a place. Some buildings deserve individual mention, such as Salter's Hall from circa 1450, believed to have been built by the owner of the fulling mill, the Old Moot Hall, also of 15th century origin, and various medieval churches, including the Church of All Saints and the former Church of St Peter, which is now an arts centre. And speaking of art, you only have to look across from this former church to see Thomas Gainsborough atop his pedestal. Born in Sudbury in 1727, Gainsborough became one of the most influential artists of his era. Although known largely for his portrait commissions, it was the landscape of his hometown and similar areas in which his true passion lay, according to the letters he wrote.
So nice.
A passion he in fact shared with John Constable from the nearby village of East Bergholt along this very same river. It really feels as if there's something in the water here, like witnessing landscape art come to life before your eyes. And what better note than that on which to conclude this list?
So nice.
In any case, those are my picks for the top 10 prettiest towns in Suffolk. By all means, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you'd like to catch up with other counties covered in this series so far, check out the link on the screen now. Thanks for watching and have a great day.
Thank you, Alex. Okay, that was very informative. I was wanting to just dip my toe in to Suffolk County, see what was there, maybe react to some of those cities on the list individually. Let me know, what's your favorite of those 10? You folks live there or visit there? Yeah, let me know. I want to react to some or maybe all of those 10 in your county, but I think Alex did a good job showing me his favorites. Maybe there's another one they didn't show. Let me know what that is. I appreciate all the comments and all the help. It helps to guide my channel, which direction to go next, as I continue to learn about your cities and your places there in the UK. So if you enjoy my channel, please hit the like and subscribe button. It really helps. Till next time, y'all take care.